Alright guys, welcome back to some more of the letter. This chapter, or this particular part of the video has been pretty somber, if not a laid back episode, because we haven't really gotten much scares, which is good. We can actually, or we can afford to take a break from those, because we've been getting hit with those a couple of times already. So anyway guys, with that said, let's keep this rolling, and I hope you continue to enjoy watching. Alright guys, we're back. Mother? The sound of it makes me halt. It's a little muffled and infrequent, but grows louder after each passing second. With the hallway devoid of people, I don't have to strain my ears to pinpoint where it's coming from. Not too far ahead, in fact. Just past the sharp turn at the end of this corridor. And clearly, it's the voice of a child.
Where are you, Mother?
On a normal day, I won't concern myself with this, considering where I am. Hundreds come and go here every day. Whatever business they have here, whether they arrive in tears or not, I've got nothing to do with it, and vice versa. That's the attitude. Personally, I don't think a stranger's worry would do much when there are nurses and doctors already attending to them. But that also begs the question, why a child is here crying? Possibly on her own. Did she happen to wander here like I did? If so, I can't just very well leave her here, can I? Yes, you can. I can't even find my own way out. And what more if it's a child? Though I'm quite sure the hospital's a safe place and the roaming staff will eventually find her, who knows what else might happen if I just leave her here. No, it's fine. Listen, just go about your business, and you'll be fine.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
In any case, I don't have the heart to turn my back on this, not when this kid's just a few meters away from me. I might as well check on her, make their job easy, and bring her with me to the lobby where her parents can easily find her. It's not totally out of the way. Oh, we're gonna pay for this one. So gingerly, I seek her out. Taking light, mindful steps as I approach where her sobs come from, hoping not to startle her. Oh, she'll startle someone, alright. My caution, however, is ineffectual. The closer I get, the more frantic her sobs become. I try to ease her fears by calling out to her, but...
Hey! Hello there? Can you hear me? Mother, please! She's here! She's here, Mother! She's going to take me! I'm not going to hurt you. Are you lost? She won't leave, Mother! I'm heading back to the lobby. Do you want to come with me? Your mom could easily find you if we go there. Mother! I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away.
Oh, you know what? We can just leave. That's perfectly fine.
All right. Why don't we just find someone who can...
Suddenly, she cries out, and in a flash, her stifled sobs grow louder and more violent, fraught with fear and dread. It doesn't take too long for a little fact to register. I'm not the one she's talking to from the beginning. Whoever it is, she doesn't want the person with her in there.
Mother, she's here! Help!
I don't think twice. With all the haste I can gather, despite the weariness in my bones, I break into a run before panic sets in. Damn my own safety, but if something happens to that kid, not more than a few hours after Isabella's accident at that, I won't forgive myself. I may not have been able to do anything for Belle, but this one's right in front of me.
She's going to hurt me! Help me!
I won't just sit this one out like a useless person. Oh, I don't know. Another scream ripples through the air as I near the bend. However, this time, her sobs die down along with it. A wave of cold creeps through my whole body as the entire corridor goes wholly silent. Quiet has never been a good thing in situations like this. In 3 more steps, I make it around the corner, bag ready in my hand. Whoa. Only to be greeted by a wall the moment I turn into the adjoining hall. A dead end. It takes me a few slow moments to take it all in, despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. No sign of the girl or whoever's with her. Just an empty alcove and a single painting sitting on a bare wall.
Where did they...
A quick scan of the area reveals nothing, not even a hint of a scuffle. The only way out of here would have been the sliding door standing adjacent to me, but even that looks untouched, bolted shut to boot. The corridor I've just passed through seems to be the only way to get here apart from the door. I would have met them if they tried to leave. I'm far from having Ashton's keen observation, but that certainly didn't sound like a simple tantrum you can shove under the rug and forget about. Anyone making a desperate cry like that would have left things in disarray.
Especially a child.
Yet I'm the only one standing here. In the presence of a painting that looks to be mocking me in the absurdity of my actions. Although to be fair, the real Lady Charlotte Ermengarde probably won't be doing any of that sort. Local history has constantly written and spoken of the woman fondly, endeared to everyone much like her parents. The beloved child and heir up until she took her own life. A pity, but that's a lesson for another day. Above my worries over what I heard and finding that child, I've yet to find a proper way out here. Thankfully, I don't have to fret over it longer. Soon another voice calls out from the opposite end of the hall, one of the custodial staff, from what little I could glean of his uniform at this distance. He doesn't bother hiding the annoyance in his tone. From the sound of it, this doesn't appear to be the first time someone unconsciously ended up here.
You there! What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I think I took a wrong turn somewhere.
Well, wherever it is you want to go, it isn't there.
I'm really sorry. I heard someone crying here and I thought...
Lady, this place is off limits to the public. Has been since a month ago. Closed off for renovations. Didn't you see the signs back there? Next time, learn to read.
It won't happen again.
Whatever. Get out of here, lady. Exit's back there, second turn on your right. Don't let me catch you here again.
Strange though, he doesn't wait around for me to leave and walks off after saying his piece. I'm not certain if it's because he's simply tired of having to fend off unauthorized personnel from roaming in here, or he's just gotten to the point that he no longer cares anymore. Shaking my head, I step back from the alcove and prepare to head out, but not before taking a glance at it again. I'm not even sure anymore what I'm expecting to see before me.
Must be the wind.
So without another look, I leave it alone. Whoa. Coming home feels like a lame attempt at normalcy. A false return to it. Although what surprises me more is how easy falling back into my usual routine is after I forcefully tucked all my worries away. For the rest of the afternoon, against what I've told Zachary before leaving, I busied myself with every unimportant mindless task I can get hold of. What can I do? Sleep simply isn't easy to come by at the moment. By the time the sun sits well over the horizon, much of the work I've scheduled today has been finished. All that's left for me to deal with is the mail. Even Isabella's family has been given notice of the accident, regardless of how I felt about doing so this morning. It didn't take too much effort, actually. The words I've been turning around in my head, the same ones I've been dreading to deliver, have long since lost their meaning after that little call with Ashton. Now they're just phrases, syllables, meaning nothing. Her mom took it well. Her mom, sorry. But if there's more to the unruffled reaction she gave, it's one thing she doesn't let show.
So very much like Isabella.
Is this because of the kind of life she has back home? Not that I'll ever fully understand. I'm my parents' only child. We aren't well off, but so far I've lived a relatively easy life. I didn't have to think about bills or food for the next day or paying for any siblings' tuition on top of my own, or supporting a sick father's medication. All I have to worry about were my grades, if it gained mom and dad's approval, or what we'd be having for dinner. When put next to hers, they all pale in comparison. They look less like problems and more like petty issues this way.
Petty issues?
But as unimportant as it all sounds, sometimes its ugly head rears at the most inappropriate moments. And sometimes they come through your mailbox in the form of a fancy-looking letter, pretty ribbons and all. Whoever sent this has spent silly money on the envelope alone. Verging on ridiculous, really. I can already imagine Isabella wrinkling her nose if she sees this. Then she'll complain about unnecessary expenses and rich people problems. I'm a little worried this letter is exactly going to be the same letter. I'm almost afraid to touch it myself. As if simply brushing a hand against its crisp surface will be enough to put a crease on it, and it will be a terrible slight to the sender. But as extravagant as I find this, it isn't really the first time I've received one. Most of the time, it's not even for me, so who am I to complain? Either way, no looks of surprise crosses my face once I flip the envelope over to see my parents' names written in the neat script.
Nothing new then.
Their years in the academy naturally brought with it various connections, people from other fields, art, science, business, politics, you name it. This one, though, gives off a much personal vibe. Letters like this usually come from old students, people who have grown fond of my parents and they, in turn, treat like children of their own. I've only met a few of them, most have moved on, become successful in their chosen careers, and little letters like this are their way of expressing gratitude. It's one thing Mom and Dad are proud of, rightfully so, and I'm happy for them. But there are times I wish they'll remember they have a daughter here. The real one. Not that it's of any importance now. It's not like they didn't raise me well and provided for me. They did. I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for their hard work. And like a dutiful child, I do everything I can to give back. Even if it's a small thing as letting them know they've got another meal waiting for them. The phone rings for a good minute before someone answers. Mom, her voice as warm as I remember.
Becca?
Hi, Mum. How's the conference going?
Well enough. Until your dad sprained his ankle.
Oh no, is it bad?
I'm alright. In case anyone in this family cares to listen, I'm alright. Very much alive, darling.
And there you have it. He'll be up and walking in a few weeks, don't worry. We're going to have to extend our stay here until it heals, though. Is something the matter?
Nothing big. Just that mail arrived for you. I got it last night, but things happened.
A lie. Thankfully, she doesn't notice. Although, if I'm gonna be honest, a small part of me yearns for her to do so and ask me about it, but I put down that idea almost as soon as it surfaces. I shouldn't make them fret. They're busy.
What does it say?
Raise your glasses, give cheers to the good times, blah blah.
Becca manners. That isn't how I taught you to read.
Sorry. You are cordially... it's an invitation, Mum, for a housewarming party. From, Hana?
The name rings a bell, though at the moment I can't recall when or where I've heard it recently. It must be nothing too important if I didn't bother committing it to memory. There are a lot of Hanas in the world, so who knows?
Hana.
She also wrote you a note, Mum. It says you used to be her private tutor at the Evans mansion, and that she misses you and would love to see you two again.
It makes my heart clench to read another openly say those words to them, the same ones I want to tell them. I want to see you too. It's been years since we've been together as family, and if there's one thing that hasn't changed from childhood, it's that Mom and Dad are still busy with their respective careers. Out of the country, away on some meeting or symposium, sometimes for months on end. It only grew more frequent with the years until I'm old enough to live on my own. I'd like to think that's how I've become independent at such an early age. They've always praised me for that. At times, I wish they didn't.
Evans? Oh, I remember now. Honey, it's Hana. Hana Evans. Remember? Bright girl, 2 years older than Becca?
Didn't she get married a few years ago? 7 now, I think. But, they grow up so fast, these kids.
Yeah, she invited us to that too. Fonte de Medici. But we missed that one because you had to present your paper in Singapore.
We did send her a note after. Still a shame we couldn't attend, though. What is it about this time?
She sent another invite for a housewarming party. Becca, when is it?
This Friday, Mum.
Oh, that's too bad. We'd love to be there, but Da's not in a condition to go walking around. I guess we'd have to decline again. I really miss that girl.
I could go in your place.
I let it slip without thinking. Personally, I've never been fond of gatherings, regardless of how simple people make it seem. But if there's one thing I hate hearing, that disappointed note in Mom's voice always ranks first. Whether it's directed at me or some other thing doesn't matter.
Are you sure? Don't you have work this Friday?
The event will be in the evening, Mum. It shouldn't take anything away from my schedule. It's alright. The invite's for 2 people. I can bring someone with me so things don't get boring.
I see. Maybe you can also invite Ashton?
Mum, that's a sure no from him. He hates attending parties. But I'll see what I can do. If not, I can always bring... I can always go alone. I'm a big girl now. I can handle these things. This isn't too much of a big deal.
Okay, if it's not going to be a big problem for you, I don't see why not. We owe you this one, darling.
No problem, Mum. I'll even say hi to Hana for you.
Please do. And let her know we'd love to see her once we're back in the city. Leave her our number or something.
I will.
But you know, the 2 of you would have become really good friends. Don't you remember? You met with her once. If my memory serves me right, you were 12 then?
This too, I can't recall. It's probably one of those meetings where we only talked a bit before going our ways. If she did leave an impression, I'm pretty sure I would have written about it somewhere or at least recognized her name. As it is, the only few people I remember clearly from that time in my life is Ashton and Mandy. To some extent. Mom must have sensed my confusion because she laughs.
Don't push yourself too hard, darling. Really? It felt like having 2 daughters back then. Sometimes I wish they didn't send her away to boarding school. But well, you know how often that goes with them. Still, try talking to her while you're there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll let you know what happens after.
I'm looking forward to it, darling. Take care of yourself.
Will do. You too, Mum. Bye. Tell Da to be careful next time.
She chuckles then. A hearty one, tender and always light on my ears. She may be a stern teacher, but this is the part of her I love the most. The sound of it still echoes even as our call comes to an abrupt end, bringing with it a memory from so many years ago. When life and responsibilities that accompany adulthood are things far from our minds. If given the chance, I'd love to go back to those. I don't dwell on it though, shaking it all away almost as soon as the memory forms a clear picture in my head. I've always wondered how Isabella can easily pretend everything's normal over a phone call, then bounce back to her usual self immediately after. I've seen her do it plenty of times. For me, it just drains whatever energy I have. Soon, the exhaustion I've been keeping at bay since last night rushes over me, creeping to my tired bones, weighing heavily on my sore muscles. Here and now, I allow it. And when another night I'm about to spend on her bedside watching over her, waiting for that tiny bit of miracle to happen, I can't afford to stay like this. Bloody hell, Zachary will know in a heartbeat if I didn't follow up on that promise. So with another sigh, I put everything at the back of my mind and tread back to my room. A long night awaits me. 4 hours later, I'm heading back out after a short nap, ready and dressed for a different waiting game at the hospital. An empty traveling bag dangles freely in my hand as I head straight for Isabella's room, first unlocking the door with a copy of the key. She lent it years ago after I complained about the mess and offered my help in cleaning up. I thought the gesture was completely unnecessary back then. After all, I could always knock. But she never did bother taking them from me, always returning it or turning away from the conversation whenever I insist. At one point, I simply stopped trying to hand it back to her. Who would have thought I'd be using it for this purpose?
Isabella, I'm coming into your flat, all right? Your aunt asked me to bring you a few of your things.
Who are you talking to when you're saying that?
Don't worry, I won't touch that thing you've been hiding under your bed.
Laughable, this vain attempt at courtesy when there are no ears on the other side to listen to them. So, without waiting for the answer she's not here to give, I push the door open and step inside. Her unit's still a mess. Instant noodle cups on the table, a pile of clothes on one side, paper strewn about everywhere, and an unkempt bed, among other things. This much is a given. Will always be a given. I've been here several times already, and I still wonder how she can function like a human being with that place in this state. She didn't even bother turning off her telly last night before leaving. Now it's filling the room with even more depressing news.
The authorities are still trying to find the cause of death for all the victims. Early investigation revealed most of them were employed under Briar Realty Corporation at the time of death. Meanwhile, BRC has refused to comment on this.
Sighing, I reach for the remote to turn it off. No more of that. We've got plenty of negativity going around us right now. Besides, she'll definitely complain about the electric bill if I just leave it, even if it's entirely her fault. However, that's neither here nor there. This little detour isn't for this. It's for her aunt. A little request from her if we can bring a few of Isabel's stuff. Hi, thanks for letting me know about this. I'll be by in a few days. Just need to sort things out with my work. If it won't be too much to ask, could you bring a few of her stuff to the hospital? Only for 2 or 3 days, so I can head straight there. Thanks. Just for 2 or 3 days to make caring for her easier once she takes over from us. She doesn't elaborate much. The message itself is short and direct, no mention of the accent or even Isabella's name. But the mere lack of it holds enough gravity. It speaks of the things we all dread facing in the next few days and the little truths we'll have to ease into after. Both of us know this isn't a one-day thing. It may last weeks, months. Bloody hell, some even continue on for years. Thinking on those numbers alone drains the optimism out of me, but I refuse to wallow on them. Think of what Zachary said instead. He's right. He has a point. We've all known about her years ago. She's stubborn.
And she might make it through because of it.
The odds are, so to speak, astronomical. But she's beaten worse before. She might not even need that miracle the doctor so blatantly told us to avoid hoping for. If she tries hard enough, she'll probably win over this with willpower and nothing else. If that ever happens, as unsightly as it may make me seem, I will laugh at their faces. Just imagining how it might go brings a smile to my face for the first time. Somehow it calms, and the whole task of packing what little essentials she might need becomes less of a chore. In less than half an hour, I'm done. Before leaving, I spare Isabel's room one last glance, disturbingly quiet now without her in it. I'll get a chance to scold her for this mess later, then we'll argue about it like we often do, like normal. But for the moment, my concerns are best left here. She doesn't need those right now. Even before it never crossed my mind, I've ever feel apprehension over a hospital visit. No one in my family has experienced illness to warrant an overnight vigil. And when a relative did pass away here some years ago, I was still too young to commit the details to memory. I recall the tears, but the emotion simply felt too distant to stick. In truth, everything I remember of hospitals are the bright lights, the cozy private rooms, and the doctor's tender smiles.
Until last night.
Now the light's glare shining far too brightly, intensely against my eyes. The smile from the on-duty nurse founders under every single uncertainty. The room at the end of this ward looms forebodingly ahead of me. This being the second day has thankfully dulled the edge to that. Somewhat. There's still the voice at the back of my mind, whispering, expecting the worst, while hoping to all that is good in the world that I won't find an empty bed and an equally graver news upon my return. But I push these all down as far as I can the minute I hear her near her room. It won't do for Zachary to see me this way. He'll send me back home for sure. The latter won't do either. I'm not gonna let him, when all the help we can get will only be between the two of us until her aunt arrives. After that call with Ashton, counting on him to show his stupid mug here sits right next to Hopeless. He's probably still out there playing his equally stupid detective game. I know he's just doing his job, but he didn't have to put it that way. What exactly is there to avoid here? He's so willing to face everything ahead, but this? How absurd. Regardless, whatever the answers to those we'll have to wait along with many others as I give the door to Isabel's room a mild push.
Hey, scaredy cat?
My hand stills. My whole body freezes, stopping me almost a hair's breadth from fully opening the door.
Ash?
A frown soon follows my confusion. There, settled on the edge of the bed, is the last person I've expected to see here no mere seconds ago, sitting almost too comfortably at that, with a small smile gracing his face. As if last night's events haven't taken a huge toll on him. But it's obvious. His fatigue is there, in the tired lilt in his voice, the detached look in his eyes, and the manner his shoulders droop. He's barely keeping himself together. Just looking at him right now makes me regret ever shouting those words at him this morning. Anger can be a delicate thing to hold. An apology immediately forms in my head, already at the tip of my tongue. Although before I can even string two words together, he continues. He has yet to notice my presence, and I've yet to make myself known. But somehow, something in the way he speaks next prevents me from doing so, despite the casual note he takes. Something anyone, including me, isn't supposed to ever hear from him. Something deeply personal.
Really, how long are you planning to stay like that? You've been criticizing my sleeping habits, yet look what you're doing. I hope you know Zach and Rebecca are already losing sleep over this.
Ashton pauses, holding the moment, allowing his words to seep into the air. He means that as a reprimand, or I assume he does. It sounds like one from the way he has phrased it. Yet the tone of his voice betrays their very essence, and not long into that silence, he chuckles. Low, close to breathless, and if I listen closely, I'd say there might have been a hint of a long-held fondness in it.
But this is how you've always been, isn't it? Clumsy, careless, a scatterbrain and a crybaby. Always getting in trouble. Always getting us in trouble.
He trails off. Another pause. Another held breath. Then he sighs.
Always making me worry.
And with it, the air inexplicably shifts to something gentler, warmer. A quiet little thing filling the room that neither seeks to stifle nor confine. Instead, it only lingers in the silence, bearing simple truths no mere words or grand gestures can express. When he finally chooses to break it, he does so with all the care in the world. Softly in hushed tones, fragile in itself.
But those things...
Because sometimes all it needs is not a thunderous declaration, but a single, fleeting second of small smiles, tender touches, and sincere honesty.
Those things... I love those. And everything. Everything that's you.
Here in this room, amidst the faint whir of machines and the soft moonlight streaming from the windows. In this little space, those words roar louder than the briefest of sighs, and that lone second forms a memory. You know, he waits until this moment to start semi-confessing. One he'll probably keep even after this moment fades with time. One I'm intruding on, never meant for my eyes to see or my ears to hear. The prayer that comes at the end of it is never for me to behold either.
This place feels a whole lot emptier without you. So please, if you can somehow hear me, come back.
But I can't bring myself to turn away. Even as silence once again sweeps into the room and only the beeping of the machines remains. Even as he himself cowers under what everything he said stands for.
This is stupid.
Because I understand with the most painful clarity the other truth this scene offers. What the tiny gleam in Ashton's eyes, his darting glances, and his kind smiles convey. Little things, little gestures. To others, it may seem nothing, but to him, it means the whole world, because it's the only way he can say everything without fumbling or losing his nerves. Right from the very start. I know. I've always had an inkling. The thought has always been there. Hiding, tucked and neatly sealed away at the back of my mind. In the same manner, he keeps his own secrets close to himself. Which is why there's no jolt in me, no surprise. Just a slow, aching, burning realization of a truth long held. Of feelings never meant to be for me. And yet, in the end, a flash of anger still surges with me. It clenches, pierces, leaving my heart torn and numb, draining every color and noise from the world around me. The bag in my hand hangs weightless in my hand as the magnitude of those words gradually closes in on me. You didn't want to hear this. You didn't want to see this. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't have gone here. But before I can move and force my feet to take the first few steps to save myself, Zachary's voice echoes from the room, deep and still, rough with what's apparently sleep. Utterly clueless of what has just transpired only minutes ago. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video here for today. Thank you for watching. Until the next one.